Hey, my BeFree family. For the next several weeks, I am having the most inspiring conversations with members of the BeFree Inner Circle. And what makes these interviews so special and amazing is because every single woman that I'm interviewing, she's been a part of the BeFree Inner Circle for a year or greater. So she's going to share her wins, what doing the work really looks like for her, why being in a community specifically for women of color is so important, and so much more. So grab your pen and notebooks because there's going to be so many gems you're going to want to write down. And now enjoy the episode. Welcome back to the BeFree Project podcast. And I am excited once again to do an interview with one of my members inside the BeFree Inner Circle, Jeanette Brewster, who actually has been a member since May of 2018. Can you even believe that?
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And when I was looking at the date, I'm like, man, I didn't realize that it had been so long. But that is actually when I opened up the BeFree Inner Circle. And so to see that you've been in the community over 3 years, I wanted to have you on today to just share your experience as a member. And so people on the outside looking in can say, oh, that's what it feels like to be a member of the BeFree Inner Circle, and just know a little bit about the behind the scenes. So first of all, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I feel good. I feel great.
Thank you. That's good. That's good. All right. So my first question for everyone is, I wanted you to share some of your wins that you've experienced since you've been a member of the BeFree Inner Circle.
Man, 3 years is a lot, right? So a lot of life happens in 3 years. Unexpected wins to, stuff that I have been working steadily on. So I'll say the first one is just, which might not seem normal is to some people, I started therapy. And so while I was doing this work on myself and knowing that I wanted to change my life, I finally hit a point where I was like, okay, you need something in addition. And the encouragement to do therapy through the community is great, right? You talk about it, you talk about your own personal journey and make it not so such a weird thing for Black women to do. No, this is what you do. And I think you shared therapy for Black girls in there. And that's where I got that's literally where I found my therapist from. And I started the process from there. So that was probably my first win, was just realizing that, okay, you can do a whole lot of things to work on yourself, but there are certain things in your life that you need therapy for. And so taking that step, I count that as a win, and I still go regularly. Because life still happens, right? Yeah. We still need that. So that was one big aha moment and win for me. And then, what other things happened? So many things happened in 3 years.
I know, right? Yes.
I chose myself and I left my 9-to-5 doing corporate for the second time. I left one time before without any real plan, but this time I left really knowing this is what I don't want to do with my life anymore, being stressed out by this job. Some people love their corporate job, but I didn't love mine. I didn't care about the product that they were selling. I didn't care about the service. And I just was like, why am I doing this? And so, the work that I did to get to the point where I was even able to say, I don't want this anymore and choose myself was all part of the process, that I went through. So leaving my 9-to-5, working in a nonprofit field now that I love, that's related to what I'm doing in my business full time. That was a huge win. That was in 2019. I did that. So December 2019, I left my 9-to-5. I got a memory that popped up that showed my last picture I took at the office, and I was like, today is the last day. And so it was kind of cool to look dang, that was almost 2 years ago. So
wow. And that seemed like you just announced that in the BeFree Inner Circle.
I know.
I feel like we were just celebrating that moment.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bananas. So
and so I know for some people, leaving their job isn't what they want. So another, I guess, win for me was purchasing our first home. Me and my husband, we fixed our credit within a year's time and just made the decision that that's what we're going to do. And then we were able to have our first house built for us and our family. We have a large family, so we needed this space. But, just the mindset around what I believed I was able to do and being able to make that shift in my mindset to say, you know what, I can do this and I can make it happen. It doesn't have to be scary. You just have to open up and ask for help. And, you can have all the things that you want. You just have to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you've had
I mean, that's a lot of wins. And even when you mentioned therapy, like that's a big deal, like a huge deal. Because I remember, and I don't know if it was in my Facebook group at the time, when you mentioned that it was something that you wanted to do and maybe there was fear around it. And so I remember, I don't remember the exact day, obviously, but I do remember the moment that you said that you were in therapy. And that's such a huge thing because there's a lot of work that we have to do and there's a lot of healing. And yes, this personal growth that we do inside the BeFree Inner Circle is amazing, but having the additional support as a therapist or having additional support with your therapist is absolutely amazing. And I remember being so proud, like, yes, because I remember there was fear around it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that was a big deal.
Yeah, there's the stigma, of course, being a Black woman, all the things that you learn from your family. You don't do this, you don't ask for that. My grandfather was a pastor, so the religious aspect of, well, you better just pray about it and talk to Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
All those things, but I don't know, like it was definitely a moment where, we had a life event too that happened with one of my female cousins. And that was like the final straw for me. And I was like, I don't ever want to get to the point where, like, oh, she's so strong. She handling it. She can do it. And I didn't ever want to get to the point where I just couldn't do it. Yeah. And I remember even I was scared to even tell my husband that I was in therapy. And when I finally told him, he was like washing dishes and he looked at me, he was like, did I do something? I was like, no, it's not about you. This is about me. And it is for me. And it's something I need for myself. And so, yeah, I encourage everybody. People think I'm crazy when I be like, you need some therapy. We all need therapy, but we need to quit saying it and really do it.
Absolutely. Agreed. One thing that you didn't mention that has happened in the 3 years is starting a podcast.
Yeah. That was a struggle. Let me tell you.
And with two of the women, Shauna and Linda, who are also inside the BeFree Inner Circle. And I am in awe of the friendship that you ladies have built, which just makes my heart sing. But then also knowing that even within your friendship that you built, you've also started a podcast with each other, which I think is phenomenal.
So I met Linda initially through the BeFree Inner Circle. So this is before Mighty Networks. This was back in Facebook days. So I followed you along from Facebook over to Mighty Networks. And it was so funny because it was at a time me and Linda both were like, man, I'm getting out. That's when Facebook groups was like really big. And you was in a million of them. And I was like, I'm getting on this one and this one. I'm like, okay, but I'm keeping the BeFree Inner Circle. I'm going to keep that one. And, so I knew with the information that you were providing and how you were working with the women in the group, there was really real value being added. And I felt compelled to really connect and do the work. Some of the groups, it was just like, you there, but you basically lurking because you're not really responding. And even back then you was quick to call somebody out like, hey, you didn't respond. Adding people and everything.
Yes, I'll have no problem doing it.
Yes. So I met Linda initially through the Facebook group. Another woman that was in the group at the time as well, she wanted to start an accountability group and she connected me and Linda through the accountability group. And then me and Linda continued to, grow our connection. And Linda and Shauna knew each other. And then Shauna joined the BeFree Inner Circle when Mighty Networks came along. It's funny because y'all are in the same city.
Yeah, which is so bananas, like how everything is just, or how we are all connected. And her and I were in the same city before she relocated, which is so bananas. Yeah. And I believe Linda told her about BeFree Project.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, Linda told her. And then Linda connected me and Shauna because I had just started my web design business.
Yep.
I add on to my photography business. And so she was like, oh, I know someone, she's looking for web design. I was like, I just started it. But that's the power of just having good people. And you say, they hear you say oh, I want to do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna make sure you actually hold up the end. Like, well, you said you wanted to do web design and she needs a website. And I was like, girl, I haven't even told the world yet. Right. And so Shauna was literally one of my first serious web design clients. And we maintained a friendship from there. And then her being in the inner circle as well, we just, started seeing each other's goals that we were setting for each other. And I remember right before quarantine, I remember you talking about a TED Talk about the 5 friends you need or something like that. And I remember sitting there thinking, and I went on Facebook Messenger and I messaged Shauna and Linda and I was like, you know what? Y'all are it for me. Y'all are the people that she's talking about. And they were like, I was feeling the same thing. Cause we were sitting in one of your lives for the group. I was feeling the same thing. And then so we decided we were going to start a mastermind, and then quarantine happened. And we just stayed connected through Marco Polo for a whole year. And then through that conversation and that friendship and holding each other accountable, the podcast was born. We were really vulnerable with each other and talking about some real serious stuff. And I feel like other people need to hear these conversations. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that so much, because that's what I talk about all the time as it relates to like friendships. Like the BeFree Inner Circle is definitely a space to find your forever friends, but it does have to be something that you're intentional about doing. It's not like a friend is just about to fall in your lap once you join the community, but it does happen. And I've spoken to so many members who they met each other inside the community, and then they have traveled to see each other. Like you ladies they have took girl trips together. They are exchanging phone numbers and talking offline. Like real friendships do happen. And one of the many things that I love about the BeFree Inner Circle is that everyone in there is positive and they're like-minded. So you know, like, okay, there's a 50-50 chance we can connect and vibe because we both are listening to Siobhan. We like what she's doing. We listen to the podcast, all of the things. So you're more likely to build a real friendship with someone in the community versus just finding someone on Facebook or Instagram or however that works. So I love watching you ladies like share your story. I love that you have your podcast, The Heart of Chat, which I will link to it in the show notes. And I interviewed all three of y'all a few months back. So that was so phenomenal.
You graced us with your presence on our podcast. We appreciate that so much. Yeah,
I love it. I just love the connection and I love the vibe. And when I see you ladies, it reminds me of the friendships that I have with some other ladies. It's like, this is how it's supposed to be. Like these friendships that you build, especially as an adult, like they should feel like home. So I love that. My next question for you is, how did you know you needed support with doing the work?
Oh, I remember just looking for something. So when I joined your group, I had just not too long moved back to South Carolina. So I'm originally from Philadelphia. I moved to South Carolina with my parents right after high school. And I went back to Philly for like 7 years. And I went through a divorce and moved back to South Carolina because my oldest daughter at the time, it was just me and her. She was getting ready to start high school. And through that whole process of like quitting my very lucrative 9-to-5, I had worked my way up and just deciding like, I can't continue to chase whatever this is forever. And then all the rest of my life isn't put together. My daughter needs me, her father wasn't there. She was going through a lot of stuff. And so I really just said, I'm not doing this anymore. If I got to just work a regular 9-to-5 where I clock in, clock out and go home and focus on her, then that's what I'm going to do. And so once I got her to a place where she was good, then it was like, okay, but what about you? What do you want for yourself? So it was just a series of life events, I feel like, that took me there. Got me to that place. And then, YouTube, you find certain people and then you follow a trail. And then all these, like I said, Facebook groups start popping up. And it really was like a lot of complaining, just people complaining about their life. And I was like, this is not what I need. I am not sitting around just to complain with other people. And I found you through, I finally made the connection like a couple of weeks ago. And I found you through, I think Gigi Renee did like a thing with all these bloggers and blogging was really big then. And I think I found you and one other person through the group. And I landed in your Facebook group and immediately, and it was like a 12-week take action type thing. It was
know me.
I like work. I'm like, give me some homework. Tell me something to do. Like, I don't want to just be complaining. And I think that's what really drew me in. And then I knew. So from there, like just that support and then the women encouraging each other from there, I knew when you said, I'm leaving Facebook and I'm growing over here, I was like, yep, I'm going. And at the time you had a beta group for like your group coaching. And I joined that. And so, so just once, I think it's one of those things, like once you get people around you, even if it's unintentional and they're like supportive, you're like, oh, I want more than that. So like, yes, please, more of that, please. And so I don't think I knew initially, but then once I got it, I knew I wanted more of it. And so then I just never left.
I love that. And I think, I know I shared this on the website before, like even we have built a connection within the BeFree Inner Circle and your support is amazing. You and Linda, and then even creating my website, like the whole thing, and so again, I just love all of the connections that are being met. And who even knew, like from that moment being on Facebook, like this is where we would be today, which is so beautiful to even see how things are unfolding and how they will continue to unfold. And so, yes, you were in my Facebook group. Yes, you had followed me through all of the things, but how did you know being in the BeFree Inner Circle will be your place to do your work? Like, how did you know, like, oh yeah, this is the right fit for me?
Oh, because I need accountability.
And that is me.
And you held me to it, right? And it was a couple of times I was on those live calls and you was like, no, because what are you going to do? And I rolled my eyes and you were like, did you just roll your eyes? I was like, I didn't mean to do that. But I think it was the hard, tough support, but I knew it came from a place of love. Like I knew it was a place of, I genuinely want to see you do great. And I genuinely want women to get unstuck and I want them to do better with their life. So for me, it was that. And then the women in the group too, Linda and Shauna, we have a great bond and connection, but there's other women that I've connected with. Like there's a few times where I went MIA from the group and I've had women texting me like, hey, I missed your face. Didn't see you. I hope you're doing well. And it's that type of support where like, dang, I have people really, are holding each other. They really looking forward to seeing each other and they don't want you to just fall off the face of the earth. Like they really care about what's going on in your life and that you continue to progress. So it was that for me, like from the beginning and even so now, like just the connection that I have with the women and showing up and, and yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. And I feel like it is this special place. It's very unique to anything that I have ever experienced or been a part of, where you can have women of color that are genuinely supportive, that genuinely care, everyone is on a different path, on their journey, but yet there's so much love. And I love, like, even if you're MIA for a little bit, like, because it's very self-paced, you check in when it fits your schedule, but then even women are reaching out like, hey girl, hey, I ain't seen you. What's going on? Like, that is the beauty of connection. And you're right. There has been many times that I have caught you on the live and I have held you accountable to something. And I'm like, did she just roll her eyes at me? But this is the thing. And you're so right. Like, accountability is like my thing through and through. It is a gift that I have that I now know. And that I genuinely want to see everybody win. And so when I see you doing the work, I pay more attention to the people who are doing the work, right? And so because I know like the work that you're doing and how you want to show up for yourself and what you are building, I'm like, oh, all right, well then let me pay attention to when she say this. And even if she rolls her eyes at me, every single time she get on this car, she gonna walk away with some homework, whether she asks for it or not. Everybody can't take it, but there's the women, in my opinion, the women who do, like they want that, because who do you have in your life? Generally speaking, I know you have your group, what have you, but who do you have in your life? If you say you want to do X, Y, and Z, they're going to hold you accountable to it, or they're going to motivate you, or they're going to give you some type of resource or support to help you get it done. 9 times out of 10, that's not happening. And so I'm like, hey, you said you wanted to do whatever, let's get it done. I do know that I can be, I have to pay attention to certain ones because everybody not ready. So I have to do it with a little more gentle spirit, if you will. But it's, to your point, it's all out of love because I really just want to see everyone grow and flourish and become the best version of themselves, Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too is a lot of women aren't used to having someone care like that for them, right? Yeah. They're used to people being like, girl, you said that last time. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. And it's like, no one wants to talk to someone that is going to every time tell them like, in a negative way, like, girl, please, you just talking. I ain't listening to you, but you really be listening. And it was like, oh, she over there writing down like, dang, I know I'm gonna have to come back next week or next month or whatever and have an answer. And it better not be some lame, oh, I didn't know. That's not what you said. So yeah. And I that's what I think. It's just some people, of course, you might be a little bit more sensitive to it, but I just think it's just that they're not used to having someone in their life that genuinely cares. Like my dad, I always say, is my person that if I want the hard truth, go to him. Forget your feelings. And he don't say forget. He say the other word, forget your feelings and get the message. If it's the truth, then you just got to deal with it.
Yeah. And then you appreciate it. And then as a result of you accepting my accountability and checking in and all the things. Like, look how much you've grown over the 3 years just in being connected with BeFree Project. Yes, there's other things that you're doing, but even if you just think about our connection over the time period, thank God I'm paying attention to you roll your eyes, right? Or challenging you with homework, because that is stimulating more growth. And to your point, I feel like most women are not used to that, or they have dream killers in their life. So when the moment that they share something that they want to do because they didn't do that other thing, people are holding them to that as if they can't change their mind or do something different. And I'm here like, hey, change your mind, take up space, but I'm going to hold you accountable to whatever you say you want to do, and then give you the support along the way. You know, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. That is all I want to do. So yes. I love that. I love that a lot. What would you say is your favorite feature about the BeFree Inner Circle? Whether it's the weekly live chats, the daily inspirational quotes, community support, even the teams, the directory. Like, what is your favorite feature of the community?
The live chats, and specifically the Show Up For You lives. Those are definitely my favorites, because it's just that monthly accountability. Like, if you know that you have to show up, and like you said, even like you've said this to us before in the community, like, even if you don't feel like you have a goal to set, like, show up, be inspired by what somebody else is doing. And it's not about, so like, you know, I have two of my goals, of course, that I said that I've reached, or, you know, wins that I've had since I've been in the community are business related. Right. But there are so many other wins that aren't business related. And that's what I love about the group, is that it's not about starting a business. Like, that was what I needed was, okay, I know all the things, setting goals for starting a business. I don't need anyone to tell me, okay, yeah, keep going, you can do it. I need to make sure my whole self is right in order to be able to even do half of the things that I want to do. So what I like about it is that you can have a personal goal that I want to organize my closet. You're like, okay, sis, yes, what are you going to do, and how are we going to do that? Like, you cheer on every single thing that someone wants to do, where like everything is going to bring in $1 million. It can just be, you know, I want to get up out of the bed every morning and sit in peace and have some coffee. Okay. I'm gonna hold you accountable to that. Yes. So that's what I love about that, is just that we can come and support each other no matter what any of the women have going on. And that's the best way to connect with women, right? So like, you get in the group and it's like, oh God, what do I do? Where do I go? They know each other. Well, if you want to get to know somebody, then you got to show where everyone is at and like be present and be involved and like hear these women's stories and, you know, cheer them on and just be inspired by what other people do, and not use it as an opportunity to say, oh, well, I'm not there yet. But all of us came to this group for a reason.
Yep. So true. And I think the power in that is, and we had a live chat last night. It was our BeFree community chat. And this was the first time that we did this, where I separated the women into pods inside of Zoom. And it was such a great thing because they were able to get to know someone that they probably didn't talk to in the community, but they were able to connect. And one of the ladies was saying, you know, I really enjoyed it. And she said how it was really good just hearing other women's story. And I feel like I'm not alone. And I'm like, that is the mission, I would say, of the BeFree Inner Circle, is that you get to connect with other women and not feel like you're the only one that feels the way that you feel. Like, we are all going through something. Again, everyone's journey is different, but we all have something. And so when you hear another woman share, like, oh, I've had a friendship breakup, or, oh, I'm having this challenge in my life, or I can't be consistent with my working out. It's like, oh, I can't be consistent. Maybe we can hold each other accountable, or maybe I can, you know, bring a guest speaker in to have a conversation about what your struggles are, you know? And so I think that is so important. And then another thing that you pointed out, when it comes to being free, and I say this all the time, it has nothing to do with business and starting a business or entrepreneurship. I can care. Listen, this ain't for the faint of heart. This is like a hard work at times. And so when I'm talking about being free and being in the BeFree Inner Circle, how are you caring for yourself? How are you loving you? And even you have 6 children. Yes.
7.
Oh, see, my mistake. Baby Kobe, number 7.
Yeah, she's number 7.
So you have a large family. And so a lot of you can be stretched in so many different areas.
Oh, yeah.
So even to say, you know what? Yes, I have a large family. Yes, I work for a nonprofit. Yes, I have my own company. I have my own podcast. And yet I still need something for me. Yeah. That is power. And I don't know if women really get it. Like, I don't know if they really understand how much you need community.
Yeah. And so I think, and that's the, like, and that's how the friendship with me and Sean and Linda grew, because we were able to be vulnerable with each other. We were able to support each other and through so many things that were going on in life. And it's like, we all have friends that we've been friends with for years, right? Mm-hmm. And some of the things that I've shared with them women and ways that I've been vulnerable with them, I have not been with a lot of people that I've known my whole life. And it's just because you know the responses that you're going to get, and because they haven't done the work for themselves, right? Some of them. And so they can't receive what you or give you what you need, because they haven't even done the work for themselves. It's not a dig at anyone, but like, that's, I think, the beauty in finding the friendships in that group is because we're all doing the work and we're all trying to get to somewhere. So, it's not going to be none of this Debbie Downer type stuff when, like, oh yeah, girl, the conversations I don't have to go into, but it just is none of that. Right. So you can come in the group. Like, one of the posts that I used to like a lot was, how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
And being afraid to be the first person to say, oh, I'm having a great day, or the first person to say, today sucks. But then we did it, right? All the women posted how they felt and was true to it. Like, if I'm happy, I'm going to be happy and take up space. And if I'm down, I'm going to be down. And I'm going to say that and ask for support. It's just, like you said, there's nothing like it out there. And a lot of women don't have that in their life. And sometimes you just need something or someone. So yeah.
Just to give some words of encouragement. And what I always love, and I shared this with you before, is how someone could share something in the community, a very transparent or vulnerable moment. And because I'm not in there at the time, before I can even get in there, there's like 4 or 5 ladies who have already given her encouraging words that I literally don't have to say anything. And I'm like, that is what community is for. That, not that I don't want to say anything, but if you can, like, sometimes somebody else can say it way better than I can, or maybe they share that similar experience with you and their words will hit differently than if I never had that experience. And I love that. I love that so much. And then another thing that you mentioned, as far as the feature that you love with the live events, like, yes, that is definitely the way that you get to know people and get to know or put faces with names. One of the things we just started, because one of the members was like, hey, can we do co-working sessions? And I'm like, sure, if you want to run it, and so I love that I'm giving people leadership roles, I would say, in the community. But now, because she brought that to my attention, I'm like, oh, that would be perfect. And so now once a month, what are we calling them? The accountability get it done sessions, where basically you work on anything, clean out your closet, clean your bathroom, work out, whatever it is that you want to work on in that time. And now you have accountability and you have community doing it. Yeah. And I bring that up because when the members tell me they want something, I put that in place, right? I'm like, oh, we can easily do that. Or when one of the members was having some struggles with weight loss, I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring in one of my great friends and she's going to have a whole conversation about how she lost 50 at that time.
It was an amazing conversation.
54.4 pounds. And that conversation was so rich and so good. And the replay is still in there so anybody can watch it. But I love how I'm so in tune with the members. It's like, oh, this is what you need. If I can do it, I'm going to make sure that it happens. So then that way you have the safe space. So I love that. One of your favorite features is the live events, because you're right. Like, showing up for you and just getting to know the other women. It's so important. It's so important.
And you asked us what our wins are too. And it's like, a lot of people don't have space to share great things that are happening to them. They don't have people in their lives. So they're just like holding all the stuff in and like, I don't have nobody to tell this to. And sometimes it can be like a downer, like when good things happen to you and you don't have nobody to tell, you can go in there and tell somebody like, oh, I could tell them, like, and it's not going to get shot down with some negative comment, like, oh, it's about time. Like, so
we have a whole group for that, a whole group for you to share your wins. And it's so interesting when you say that. It was I remember one young lady who joined the community, and her reason for joining, she had been listening to my podcast, and she said she had just got out the gym and she was so proud of herself and she wanted to celebrate that moment. And she looked in her phone and she did not have one friend that she could text that would celebrate with her. And she said, yes, she could tell her boyfriend, but of course we know female energy is very different, And she said that was her reason for joining the BeFree Inner Circle. And she's still there to this day, right? And I'm like, that is powerful, that if you can look in your phone, right, and scroll through who you call friends and you cannot share a win with them, that's an issue. Yeah. Knowing that they're not going to celebrate with you, right? Like, that's a huge issue. And so I will never forget that. And when she wrote it, I printed it out, because I'm like, this is the type of women that I want to join the BeFree Inner Circle, women who are genuinely, number one, ready to do the work.
Well, yeah, that.
Ready to do the work. That's my number one. And then number two, looking for community and friends that can support you and celebrate with you. That's so important.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I still struggle with taking up space sometimes or sharing my wins and stuff. Like even when you ask me, I'm like, oh yeah, and this and that. Mm-hmm. But like, I'll get on with like, Shauna and Linda on Marco Polo when we talking. And I'm like, oh, I said, I'm really happy inside. Like y'all can't see, I'm just happy inside. And I'm really like low key and nonchalant. And then they're over there like, oh my God, yes. And I'm just like, mm-hmm. But it's like the mom that's like in the stand when her kid graduates and she's hollering and screaming. And like, that's the energy that they give me all the time. And it makes me feel good. And I'm like, okay, I can be a little bit happier about it.
Yes, because let me tell you, and I think I said this on the podcast, we were somewhere, and I'm like, I cannot read you, Jeanette. I cannot, and I feel like I'm good at reading people and having this, discernment. But it was one live chat that we had, and I said something, I don't know, and you instantly DM'd me and told me that you were in tears and how empowering it was and how, you went to journaling. And I'm like, I couldn't tell anything from your face because you had a great poker face. Because I had no idea. But again, that just speaks to there's so many different women in the community. And so we have introverts, we have extroverts. I'm definitely an extrovert. I will carry that, but everyone experiences things different. And so I love that we have a whole team to say, hey, what is your wins? And I encourage people all the time. Now you have homework. I wasn't giving you homework on the podcast.
Yeah.
I wasn't. But when you said that, I'm like, oh, wait, my ears start ringing. But I want you to share a win inside the group. Like, let us know one of your recent wins that you've had so that we can celebrate with you.
I can do that. I will do that. So now the whole world is holding me accountable. Like,
they are.
Come here and do that. And all the ladies in the inner circle, going to hear this and be like, did you do it?
They're going to be waiting on it. They're going to be waiting.
Let me tell you, when other people start getting that homework, I was like,
you do. Yep. Like, yeah. But it's good. It's always good stuff.
Yeah.
What's one reason you feel other women need to join the BeFree Inner Circle?
Because like you said, it's self-paced, right? It meets you where you are and you can work on things little by little. And so like, yes, I've been in a group for 3 years and somebody out there might be listening like, well, 3 years, you ain't got your stuff together yet. It's not about that, right? It's because there's always something. Yes. There's always going to be something. You always need to to be sharpened in different areas. And as I grow in other areas and become more self-aware, which is probably one of my hugest wins through therapy and being in the group, is just being more self-aware of what triggers me in different ways. But I was going to say, the thing that keeps me there is because I want to continue to work on myself regardless, right? Once my kids leave the house, I'm going to have to focus, not that I don't focus on my marriage, but it's going to be me and my husband. And there are going to be other challenges with us being empty nesters. It's so many different things that come up, vulnerability, like, be okay with be excited and let it show. Like, there's always something that I'm working on, but every time I go in the group, it's just another tool that I put in my toolbox so that when I'm going through things in life, I can reach back and say, I know how to fix this. I know how to get out of this or how to get out of this. Like, you wake up in a bad mood some mornings. I don't even know what is wrong with me. And I'm like, you need some rest. That's what you need. Like, you need to just sit down and be still. So for me, I feel like I think your question was why other women should join the group and the community. Why not? Like, what are you doing right now that is so different that, this, like, why not give it a chance, right? Mm-hmm. To see try something different, be open to something different. But I will say, be intentional, go in it and show up. Like, don't just go in there and just sit there and think that stuff just going to work because like, oh, if I can just get close enough to Siobhan, then my whole life going to change. It's like, no, you have to do the work. Like, you really have to do the work for yourself. And so I got to a point and it was like 3 things. I think you had sent out a survey, like, which one of these are you struggling with right now? And it was like 3 things. And I was like, I'm not really struggling with any of these things. I was like, look at me growing.
Yes.
So like that made me feel good, but there are still other things that I want to work on myself. And I know I'm not perfect. And I think it's not about you coming in having to be perfect. And a lot of women are out here trying to make it look pretty before they present themselves to other people. Girl, just show up broken and figure it out with the rest of us.
That part, you know, or same way when people wait to join the church, like they got to wait till they get their life together. You're like, just go on up to the front of the church, give your life to the Lord and keep it moving. Ain't nobody paying attention like that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Show up broken and we're going to support you and love you through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things, so even when I'm having these conversations with the members, like specifically members who have been in the community over a year, is because, and I learned this when I was talking to you and Linda when we were having our team meeting. The women who are seeing the most progression is women who have been in the community for a year or greater. Because I can be able to track and see, oh, when you came into the community, you had not you, but in general, a negative mindset, or you weren't okay with setting boundaries. You put your kids before yourself. You were in a job that you hated. And over the year, as long as you're applying the teaching and doing the work, I can see the growth. So when people come in and they get out, that's a whole nother thing. But like when you're in there for, I would say 6 months to a year and greater, I can see the fruit of this, you know, like I can see the fruit on you and I can think of every single member that I've had on the podcast thus far and more that I'm interviewing. Those are the ones who are growing and flourishing because they have committed to the journey. It's not like, oh, I'm going to jump into the BeFree Inner Circle and see what it's about. No. No, you ladies are actually doing the work and you have fruit to show, you know?
Yeah. A lot of people want that quick fix and it just doesn't work like that. And that's why I love that the show up for you is show up for you. Not show up so Siobhan can fix your life, like a young like fix your life. No, you have to show up and fix your life because you only know what they tell you. You can come in and be like, oh, I'm so great. Everything is perfect and hide and all this mess. And then you get out the group and be like, that wasn't no help. It wasn't no help because you wasn't honest.
Come on and preach that part. It's not the group. It's because you didn't come in with the right intentions and to do your work. And I understand that everybody's not ready.
Scared.
They're scared. And listen, this is the thing. Doing the work is hard. It's hard. It's hard doing it on your own, right? It's hard doing the work in general, but it's really hard doing it on your own. But like you pointed out earlier, there's layers to this. So even once you start working on one thing, especially in therapy, you start peeling back another layer like, oh, like for me, one of the things I'm working on now, I didn't realize that I didn't have self-trust. But the only reason that I know that is because I was having a conversation and I've been doing some journaling and thinking, I'm like, oh, you just learned how to trust yourself in 2019. And so then I'm like, oh, well, do you trust other people? Or do you know? And so I'm reading this book to support me with that. But had I not been having the conversation and doing my journaling and therapy, I wouldn't have even known that was something that I needed to work on. So then when I presented in the community, oh, these women, like they don't trust themselves. But if I wouldn't have said, hey, I struggle with it, and put it out there, they wouldn't have even been open to even say that or know it for themselves, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. For me, I think it was one of the questions was about like what's one of your like biggest fears? And like, you know, people hit surface level, like, oh, I'm scared of dogs. I'm scared of, you know, not finding love and this and that. And like, for me, it was being forgotten. And like, I naturally have this personality that wants to help people and I'm always doing stuff. And it's like, if I'm not, and then so a lot of times I put myself on the back burner and that was my crutch, right? Was because this underlying need to feel needed because it means that people don't forget about me, right? So like, if you don't need me, then you're going to forget me. And then who am I? Because my worth was all wrapped up in what other people wanted from me and thought that what I thought other people needed me to be. And even like a lot of the limits and beliefs that I worked through, it was crap that I was telling myself when it came down to, okay, so now you figure out these are your limits and beliefs. So where did that come from? And I was like, I think I told myself that. Yeah. And I think I made that up. And no one told me this and no one told me that. And it's like, oh, girl, stop telling yourself these lies.
Yeah.
So yeah, just showing up and doing the work. And it's not an overnight, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, if your life's not changed in 30 days, get your money. Like, listen, girl, that is not reality. That is, and if somebody is selling you that, they selling you a lie.
They sure are. This journey it's a long one and it's always going to be work to do, but there's so much beauty on the other side. Like when I think about where I'm at now, there's so much freedom, like so much freedom. And I can feel now when my freedom is being stripped from me, you know, and I'm like, oh, all right, I don't like the way that feels in my body. It's time. But because I am self-aware, I can do a lot of inner work that supports me. And I know when it's time to like kind of restructure and reframe things. So, yeah.
And the more you release stuff, the more I feel like it opens you up to things that you didn't even know was possible for you. Mm-hmm. You didn't, of course, a lot of women, I don't have dreams, I don't have goals because you're so weighed down by all these other things. Yeah. And then now the possibilities open up and then you start believing in yourself. You start trusting yourself and believing that in anything that you want is possible, you know, whether it's buying a home, having a baby at 40, like, you know, whatever those things are for you, like sometimes you have to have someone help you release the baggage so that you can open your mind up to even receive the possibilities of the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good and rich. My last question is, what would you say to the woman who says, I cannot afford the BeFree Inner Circle?
I'm saying you can't afford not to join. I mean, look, I ain't counting nobody's coins, but what I will say is that we pay for what we want, right? And we put money in things like, and I know this is all women are open, right, to BeFree Inner Circle. But a lot of my Black sisters out here, we spend money on hair, nails, $200 shoes for our kids. Look, I got 2 boys. Their shoes cost a lot of money. They play basketball. We make investments on the things that we want. And so why not invest in yourself? Think about all the ways and the places that you are spending money. And like, is any of it for you? Outside, I pay my bill, my rent and this and that. Like, what are you doing for yourself? And where can you make a sacrifice? Because just like, you know, I didn't come into the group to get my credit straight and buy a home. Right. But because I came through the group, I opened my mind that this is possible. And, I need to get my life together in order in this area too with my finances. And so I would just say, really evaluate where your time and money is going and how much of it are you really spending on yourself and invest in yourself. I say that in business. I work with entrepreneurs, like to invest in themselves and their time and in their money. And so this is not just a monetary investment in yourself. It's also a time investment that you're putting into yourself. So, yeah.
I love that. That is perfecto. And I agree 1,000%. There was one young lady who had joined the BeFree Inner Circle. We were having a conversation and she said, you know, I invest, you know, by being a part of a weight loss community. And then I'm a part of this community. And she was like, I see it just like that. I have Netflix. I have, you know, all these streaming services, all these and all of these things for external, you know, but what about internally? Like I'm a part of communities. I'm a part of a membership community. Like I believe in coaching. I believe in all of the things because for me, personal growth is in my top 5 values. Like I have to be growing. I cannot be stagnant because I understand that there's so much life to live. And if I'm not developing and getting better, then what am I doing? Yeah. And I know what it feels like to be stuck. I know it and it does not feel good. And I know so many women in my audience, they are. And yet they look at the price point like, oh, I can't afford it. But to your point, you can afford not to because you're going to be looking at yourself a year later in the same exact position because you didn't get any help, you know?
Yeah, like, let me go join this finance group and I won't give it all away, but I listened to the replays. I wasn't able to make the live chat with H.E. on the weight loss journey. And one of the things she said, like, you know, you keep trying to do these things, but your mindset is where it has to start. So like you're gonna be in 50 million different communities for very niche things. Yeah. But the work you need to do is internal first, and then all the other stuff will follow.
When I tell you that was powerful, the thing that resonated with me the most that I will never stop thinking about is how she talked about whose weight are you carrying? Right? And you saw me I stood up on my seat. I said, whoa.
I was carrying everybody was shouting in the background, all kinds of stuff. I was
because so much of what, like many women are overweight because they're carrying somebody else's stuff and don't even realize it. Oh yeah. You can see it, you know?
Don't believe that lie like, oh, this is happy and love weight.
No,
no, ma'am.
Nope.
No, ma'am.
That's some stuck weight is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it was happy and love weight, then you and your husband both would be loving, or partner, whoever, would be loving each other enough to challenge each other to eat better. Because I want you to be here with me forever. So I need you to get your life together. My husband he be force feeding me my vitamins. I'll be standing at the refrigerator, all of a sudden his hand come around like, you didn't take your vitamin? What are you doing?
He's like, you gonna be here. We got these kids. You gonna be here. Listen, you ain't.
And I tell him the same thing. I'm like, dude, you're not leaving me. I'm not buying you no cookies. Get out of here.
I love it. I love it. So any final words that you want to share with the community before we log off?
First, I want to thank you, Siobhan, just for creating this community and doing what you knew you were called to do, right? And doing the work that you were called to do. And a lot of us women have these things and these passions inside of us that other people are waiting for us to show up for ourselves so that they can eventually show up for themselves. So first, thank you. And then for having me on. But look, it's hard. I understand. I was a single mom, married, marital issues. Me and my husband are great now, having babies at 41. Life happens to everybody. And there's always something that somebody else can top you with and say, oh, but you didn't go through this. But it's not about whose life is worse and whose life is better. It's about just making a decision to get your ish together and show up. I'm not gonna cuss, but it's I know it seems hard and it doesn't sound true, but it really is that simple. Deciding to be happy, deciding that you're going to change your life. It was a long time before I can just literally say, I'm really happy. Yes. I'm extremely happy with my life. I love my life. I love my family and everything that is coming my way. Days get hard, but I know without a shadow of a doubt that I choose every day to wake up and be happy. Mm-hmm. Nobody else owns that. And if you have someone else owning your happiness for you, you need to take that back. Then you're definitely not free. So my freedom, my be free, is owning my own happiness every day.
Oh, that's a great place.
And I want everyone else too.
Me too. Oh, that's so good. Thank you. I am deeply grateful that you have carved out time, because I know your life is very busy, to chat with me and just to share your experience from a member's perspective. Like, that means the world. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And until next time, girl, be free.
I hope you enjoyed that amazing interview. And now I want to personally invite you to join the BeFree Inner Circle waitlist. That's right, the doors are currently closed. However, I want you to head over to BeFreeInnerCircle.com, add your name and email address to the list, and when the doors open, you will be the first to know. This will be your last chance to become a member this year. So again, go to BeFreeInnerCircle.com so you don't miss out.